Hi everybody, it's me again, Charles Norm from Sports Solutions LLC. We are the creators of AthleticSOS. So if you're trying to get an athletic scholarship, you can use our software technology, absolutely no cost. Down below, I give you the code and I give you the instructions for using the code. And what it's going to do is it's going to allow you to take all of your academic information, and then you're going to talk about the sport you want to play, the level you believe you can play at college. If you're a high school athlete, this is for high school athletes, and the area of the country you're interested in, and we're going to show you all the schools you're academically qualified to attend that offer athletic scholarships in your sport, unless it's NCAA Division III, and then we're just going to show you the schools that do offer your sport, and then they don't give athletic scholarships, but you can get money to go and play for them. It's absolutely no cost. Look down below. I hope you guys stick with me on this one because I'm kind of going down a couple of rabbit holes. You guys have seen the title. This is I put in there purposely. To me, this is the nail in the coffin for both high school and college athletes. The NCAA has won, in my opinion, and I don't think they purposely did it, but I think they took advantage of a loss. Now, to me, since 2020 until now, the NCAA has been taking losses in the courts, right? You think about the NIL, you think about the transfer portal, and things like that. And so they sort of lost. They had to change all of their rules because of the pandemic from 2020, and they had to loosen their rules for who qualifies to get an athletic scholarship. Something before 2020, if you look at 2017 through 2019, they were tightening up the rules. They were raising the GPA requirements. They were talking about more stringent looks at the core courses that you had to take in high school, the fact that you couldn't make up any classes, the fact that you had to have 10 of the core courses before your senior year. So it was making everything so difficult. It was getting harder and harder and harder, especially at the D1 level. Last week, I don't know if you guys followed that. So the week before, I had watched the NCAA's webinar on the changes coming in 2023, fall of 2023, when high school starts again after this summer, when high school starts again moving forward. What does that look like? What are the changes they're putting in? That was for the administrators that I watched, and I talked about it a little bit last week. And then this past week, and I gave you guys the link so that you could go and register for this. I hope some of you did it. There was one for the parents. So for the parents to get your kid ready, they had a separate webinar. And so I watched that, and then it finally hit me. I go, either these guys are geniuses and they set all this up, and I'm not a conspiracy person, but two things happened during that webinar that caught my attention, and then I went down the rabbit hole. So I want to explain why they have control now, and then what you can do about it, because you're kind of at their mercy at this point. So the two things that I saw in there was, one, they eliminated the need for the ACT and SAT to get an athletic scholarship. You used to have to do the ACT, SAT, and you had to get certain scores, and then they would weigh that against your GPA, and there was just like this sliding scale thing. That was what it was before. Gone. No more ACT, SAT. And then the second thing was, at the NCAA Division II level, there were only two things now. You either were a qualifier or you were a partial qualifier. There was no non-qualifier there. And then the biggest piece of that was that partial qualifier, because a partial qualifier allowed you to get an athletic scholarship, be offered the scholarship, and you could practice, but you couldn't play in the game. What was the one thing? It was only one thing on that screen that you had to qualify for, and that was simply that you had to graduate with your class. That was it. Now, if I got that wrong, anybody from NCAA, please come comment down below. Contact me if you want to. Info@AthleticSOS. I'd love to hear more about it, and I can go over it a little bit more. But those two things, that just piqued my interest. And so then I went down the rabbit hole, and then I started thinking about it. What has really happened in the last few years? There was the fact that the NIL happened, right? The courts allow, so that's the name, image, and likeness. So that means that the athlete at the collegiate level can now start making money or creating revenue from their name, image, and likeness, and they have control of that. And so it sounds like a big win, right? It sounds like, hey, the college athletes got it under control now. But now who controls name, image, and likeness now? If you go to a major college, if you go to almost any school, and they're putting this in at the smaller schools too, they have a program on campus to get you set up so that they control your access to name, image, and likeness. Now, it looks like they're doing you a favor, right? You don't have to try to figure out how to get that deal with the car dealer or the pizza parlor or whatever it is. And the deals are really tiny. But for the big deals, it's going through the colleges. And whoever is controlling that on the outside, I have no idea where it is. But the real well, we'll go to the next one, because I'm going to go with the real beauty of this thing is what's happening. And then the second thing is the transfer portal. And then that makes a big deal for the high school kids, because let's take a look at this long term. So you're a high school athlete and you're trying to get an athletic scholarship. And normally in the old days, if you were a really, really good player, you had a bunch of colleges and you were weighing your options. Which one gave you the best deal, the best bargain, the best opportunity to play, the best, right? You're looking out for yourself. But now look at it, if you're a college coach, what do you have going for you now? You have the transfer portal. And so that means that there are kids that already have proven that they can play at the collegiate level, whatever sport it is. And for some reason, maybe they're unhappy, they're not getting any playing time, they don't get along with the coach, whatever happened, as long as it's not an academic issue. If I'm a college coach from another school, I'm like, okay, I know this kid can hack it. They've stayed academically qualified, because you can't be in the transfer portal if you flunked out of all your classes. So I know academically they're okay. I know they can play. I see their stats. So they're at this level. Would I take them over the high school kid? Maybe I will. Then you have the kids that are coming from community college and junior colleges, right? They've already proven they can play at a higher level than a high school level for the most part. And so now I'm going, hey, let me take a look at these kids first. So they're in front of you. Then you've got kids that came out of prep school, right? So some of the kids went to high school, didn't get to the level they wanted. Now they've taken another year off. They've gone to prep school and they've gotten their bodies bigger. They've gotten their minds right. They're very on track for what they want to do in life. And now I can take a look at them. And then finally, I will get to the high school kids. But over the last 3 years, the academic requirements for getting an athletic scholarship were dropped so far. In fact, there were no real rules. There's a bunch of kids now sitting around that got into those schools, especially in the last year, that I can choose from them. They've been sitting there and I can choose from those kids. They got into college, they've been sitting. Some of them didn't qualify completely, but they got the athletic scholarship because it couldn't be blocked at that time. So you may have brought kids in that were not academically ready to come to college, but now you've had a year to work with them, and now they're in the push and the competition for one of those spots now. And now here you are, the high school kid. And so you're waiting. You got to climb over all of those people, and you don't have you're not in position now to be picky and choosy and demanding the way you may have been before. Does that make sense? Am I making sense here? The big question is, all of that has happened. They've won, in my opinion. They control everything. But here's the biggest one. And I saw this in a movie one time, a long time ago, that if there's a great con, to be a really good con person, it's not the person who got caught, not the person who fleeced the person for the most and all that kind of stuff. It's when the person who was con actually did it to themselves. They changed the rules. And that's what's happened here, especially with the ACT, SAT for the college. There's so many colleges now that are not requiring the SAT and ACT. And if you look around, and I've sat in rooms and on boards and in Zoom calls with academias and people from underserved communities that really feel like this was a big win for them. So they went in, they got things changed. The legislators changed for the NIL and all that kind of stuff. It feels like you won, but you didn't. You actually lost. I won't say you played yourself, because the intentions were right. But whenever you try to change the rules, if you're not looking deep enough into it, sometimes you hurt yourself. And so what's happened now is the college, they get to choose, because now let's say the SAT and ACT aren't a requirement. What is it that they're using to gauge you now? It's arbitrary. You don't know what it is. And that is the biggest problem ever. So now they get to choose the kids that are going to get into their school based on something you have no idea what it is. Now in your head, you're saying it's based on merit now. This is a great thing, Charles. What are you talking about? But how do you know it's based on merit? You have no idea what they're basing it on anymore. And they won't even tell you. Is it GPA? Is it the extracurricular classes that you took? Is it your what you've given back to the community? Is it what you're the smartest at? Your math, your science, your what you don't know. It could be that somebody likes that family member, or they happen to know them, or they're in a network, or their parents are best friends from college, or you have no idea what it's taking to get into these colleges anymore. And it feels like you're in control, but you actually lost control. And for the athlete, it's even worse. If you get in, you are under their control now more than ever. The NIL thing, if you want to do that, you're probably going to go through their on-campus NIL courses and classes and whatever it is that's going on there. They don't require the SAT, ACT the same way. And I just talked about the other elements that could be in front of you that you don't even know that they are weighing against you. So what do you do about this? How do you gain back control? How do you win? So one of the things I've learned since I stopped working is that there's two ways to be successful in this world. And one is your network and the other is positioning. And so if either one of those can be it, but if you have them both, you've got it set. And I'm all about positioning. You guys know that. I talk about that all the time. But as a high school athlete, you guys got to start thinking about your network, the people that you're around, the groups that you belong to, where you are spending your time, because that's going to make a big difference as you move forward. But all I can do right now is talk about positioning. And so one of the reasons we created AthleticSOS was more so that you could learn how to go out and do your own research, reach out, and not be relying on getting discovered. Now, I've always thought that was the worst way of doing this thing, right? You go to these showcases and the combines and the viewing tournaments, and you hope a coach sees you, and then they go back and do a little more research on you, and then they find out that, oh, this kid's pretty good in high school, he's got great stats, let me send somebody out to look at them. And over and over and over again, and finally they go, hey, we're gonna make an offer to this kid. That's the way it always had been. But now with AthleticSOS, you're going to do is you're going to find out all the schools you qualify for. You're going to do some research on those schools. Find the school that's the best fit for you. That was really what I was trying to also get done in this thing. Find a school you would be happy at, even if you couldn't play anymore on that campus. You'd just be happy to be there. They have your major. They have the atmosphere that you want. They have it's in the rural area. It's in a city area. It's in a suburban area. Whatever kind of area it is. It's in an area of the country that you're interested in that you never even thought about before. So you're outside of your normal area, but you're looking all across the nation for different opportunities, and you're very surprised that you qualify for these guys, but you need to let them know that you're interested in them, and then get them interested in coming to see where you're going to be, and let them make the choice. And I'm telling you, the more options you have, the better opportunity you have to be successful. And so the bottom line with this thing is you're further out of control now than ever before. But if you position yourself, and what does that mean for us? And I talked about this last week, and I know I get repetitive on this, but I'm going to do it on every video, because one of the things I'm finding is that people are finding me for the first time. So I'm going to go over this all over again. You want to make sure you're going to go and see your counselor immediately on Monday after you've heard from this, or the day you go back to school after you've seen this video. And you're going to make sure you are on track, especially if you're not a senior. If you're going to be graduating in June of 2023, then you're good to go. The old rules still apply from the last 3 years. But if you're going to be still going to high school in September of 2023 in the U.S., then you need to go in there and make sure that you are on track to meet the requirements for the NCAA. One of the things they did not mention in that webinar was, okay, I'm going to be a sophomore next year. What if I was following the old rules and I'm not on track to get that, whatever is required academically by my senior year? Am I still okay? Are you guys going to let me bypass because I was under the old rules for that 1 year? Or if I'm a junior or a sophomore, all the way down the line? You need to find that out. And I don't know. You're going to have to talk to your counselor to make sure you're on track. But get on track to be a NCAA Division I athlete. That's all you need to say. I want to do that. And then the other thing I want you guys to really make sure of is, one of the things people do is they take elective classes, right? For math, science, English. You can take a different class. You can take a computer science class. You can take a speech class. You can take all of these other classes that aren't really with the word math or science or social science or English. It doesn't say that in the title, but it still qualifies. But you need to make sure the NCAA has qualified your school's program that is an elective. Make sure it's on their list. And if it's not, you got to get that counselor to submit their course and get it approved by the NCAA. Really important. These are the ways that they get to dismiss you and not approve you or when you're getting ready to come out of there. Imagine you've done all this work, you've done everything by the letter, and you find out that your course at your high school did not meet the stringent requirements that they're raising now. So they're in complete control here, but you have to be aware of what's going on. And you got to make sure your school and your counselor and your athletic director, if you have one, or your the principal, I don't care who you have to talk to. You need to make sure everything is lined up so that if you play by the rules, you don't get the rug pulled out from you at the last minute. So that's super, super important. So you've done that. Now, you don't have to take the ACT or SAT by the NCAA standards and for many of the colleges. But what you will not hear from the colleges is, we won't accept the ACT and SAT. You don't see that. They just say it's not required. So go ahead and take the test. I know it's going to cost you a little bit of money, but if you get that scholarship over that next person, that whatever money it costs you to do it, maybe you're going to need to, if you're in an underserved community and you don't have the money for it, you can get that credited. Just talk to your counselor at the school. You may not have to pay the fee if you can prove your financial inability to pay for it. So that can be taken care of too. So go and look into that, and then take that money. If you do not qualify, if you qualify not to have to pay the fee, take that money and go get some training and some help getting prepared to take the SAT and ACT to get the best score you can possibly get. All right. The next thing is keep your grades up, right? So you've taken the right classes. You're going to take the SAT, ACT, and then if you're taking the right classes, try to get the highest grade possible. At least if you can get a 3.5 GPA, you're gold on the college campus. That's going to put you so much further ahead of a lot of the kids, because most college, unless you're going D1, and if you're a guy, you play football or basketball, you can get a full ride. If you're a girl and you play basketball, volleyball, gymnastics, or tennis, full ride. Everything else could be an equivalency sport, which means they're going to give you partial scholarships. But if you have that 3.5 or above, they can get you some academic money, and they can squeeze that gap for what has to come out of your pocket. My number one thing, and I say this almost in every video, do not come out of college with a ton of debt. You're not going to get rid of it most of the time. The whole world is changing right now. Being able to come out of college, use your degree, go get a job that pays enough for you to pay back your debts and live a decent life, be able to buy a home and the car you want, live in the neighborhood you want, take trips and raise your family and do all of the stuff that you want to do, the American dream. It's going to be much more difficult moving forward if you're relying on your college degree getting you a job that keeps up with the cost of living. The cost of living is skyrocketing, and I don't see it slowing down anytime soon. So don't get yourself in a bunch of debt. You cannot get out of college debt. I get it. They're talking about getting rid of some of that, and not, I would depend on it. How about that? I'll just leave it there, because otherwise you start getting political. Okay, so make sure, try to get a 3.5 GPA, but at least a 3.0, something that makes you stand apart from the kid that hit the bare minimum. So the bare minimum for D1 right now, I think it's a 2.3 GPA, and for the NCAA Division II, it's a 2.2. I think it's somewhere in there. You guys can go and look up on their websites and check it out. And that's the next thing. Go on the website and get into the eligibility centers. Now, there's two eligibility centers. There's one for the NCAA and there's one for the NAIA. I'll start talking more about the NAIA as we move forward, but this is all mostly about the NCAA. Get into the eligibility centers. And it's really important you get into them early. You don't have to have done anything. You can do it in junior high school if you want to. It's free to start opening an account. And then if you want to get their certification and approval from them, there's a payment you're gonna have to make. It's not that much, but there is a payment. But you don't have to do that to get started. You can do that today. And so the reason I want you to be in the NCAA is because the next phase is you're gonna start trying to get exposure. And that means you're gonna have to go to some events that college coaches go to. It's just that simple. You can't just rely on playing at your high school to get it. Now, if you're the best of the best of the best at your high school, you're going to get invited to events anywhere where college coaches are going to be, and then your local colleges will know about you. They read the papers, they have their ear to the ground, they have scouts all over the place, they'll know you exist. But those coaches across the country that could use your skill set and use you coming out of the year that you're coming out, they won't even know you exist. You have to get on a circuit where you travel and you get around and people can see you. When you go to events, if you're going to join a travel club program, one of the things you want to make sure you're doing there is, if you're playing at your high school, a lot of times when you're a really good athlete, you're playing out of position because they need you at that position. You're not playing the position that you would play at the collegiate level, right? And so when you go and get on a travel club team, get them to put you at the position that you're going to play in college, okay? Don't just go there because it's the biggest, baddest travel club program. You want to be at a position where you're going against other college level athletes, but you're playing the position that you would play in college. So they can see, you want the college coaches to see you playing in that position at a high level, at a high clip. And then when they come see you at your high school, and they're going to come see you at your high school, when they come to see you at your high school, maybe you're playing out of position, but they've already seen you play at that other level, and they can see it. It fits for them. So that's really important. And then you're going to get training. And then when you go and find a trainer, trainers are very expensive. Sometimes you have to do group training, but you want to get trained at the position you're going to play at the collegiate level. Really important, people. I see people pay a bunch of money and they follow. We're like herd people when it comes to sports. We don't want to get left out. We want to go with the group. If you try to come away from the group, they yank you back in, they ridicule you. What are you trying to do? Who do you think you are? I don't care. You do what's right for your kid. So if your kid needs to play a different position, you need to go get them trained for that position. Even if you have to hire somebody private, maybe small group, get some other kids to come in with you, some other parents to come, and you guys put your money together and try to make sure your kid is getting trained for the position they're going to play at college, even if they don't get a chance to play it in high school. Follow what the high school coach is telling you. I don't care who you are. When that college coach is making a decision on you, they're going to contact your high school coach, period. They're going to find out what kind of kid are you, because most of the time, if you're at the college level as an athlete, you're probably the star of your team. What is your attitude at that start? How are the parents a pain in the butt? Now, the college coach is not afraid of the parents. They just want to know if the coach says, hey, yeah, you know, the parents are a bit of a pain, but the kid's a great kid. I love having them on my team. They're a great leader. They are clearly better than everybody else. I got them playing out of him or her playing out of position, but they took it a little bit of pushback, which was to be expected. And because of our style of play, they didn't really get to show everything they can do. But I really appreciate this kid. You're going to really enjoy having them. That's the message you want to get from your high school coach to that college coach. If you get that message, you're almost in. That ability, that credibility coming from a high school coach is gold. That doesn't mean the high school coach controls you. If you and the high school coach just bump heads, they don't like you, whatever is going on in your world, don't worry about it. You can overcome that, because you're going to meet with the college coach anyway at some point in time if they're really interested in you, and they'll get a look at your attitude and how you move, what's going on. They may ask some questions about it, but most of the times they won't. They're trying to gauge you just as much as you're trying to gauge them. And they'll watch your actions on the court. Be about your teams. If it's an individual sport, be about the group winning, not just your winning. Be tough, be resilient. You don't have to be the most talented, but you have to understand the game. Study the game. Here's the other thing I always tell people to do, especially for kids. Go back and look at some of the all-star games, or if it's a Olympic type sport, skiing, things like that. Go and look at some of the best. You play like somebody, you move like someone. Find somebody that made it to the highest level of your sport, and they play like you or they move like you, and take some of the things that they do and watch how they move. Because if they got that far, there's something about them that struck with other people, and they were winning. So you need to find out, there's something about them that's different, and you need to find out what that is. Mimic some of that. Of course, you're going to throw your new, more modern version of it, but tie some of those things in. Watch how they move on the court or on the field, or in their actions when they're doing things. Watch how they prepare. See if you can find some things about them that's off the field or court or whatever. How do they carry themselves? How do they work out? What is their mental approach to the game? Start finding that out and start adopting some of those things, because those are people that are saying this is how you become successful at something, and you should mimic some of that. I know you don't want to mimic it 100%, and I get that, but these are some of the things you want to do. So you've taken care of making sure you're taking the right courses. You've gotten good grades. You've taken the SAT, ACT. You're getting yourself in some exposure events. You've done pretty much most of the handiwork here. And then the final piece, and I'm just going to throw this out here, you should use our software. And you're going to use our software, no cost again, and you're going to use it. And this is where we're trying to change people for AthleticSOS. What we want you to do, start doing some research so you can position yourself to maybe get discovered. That's cool. If you get discovered and it's by the right school and they really, really want you, go with it. But if something goes wrong, you thought you got discovered, something fell through, that you have a list of colleges that you are also interested in, you've reached out to them and let them know that you may have some interest in them. They think you're in love with them. They've checked, you already academically qualified to attend their school, and you've done everything right. They're going to come look at you too, and you've got some schools in your back pocket that you can fall back to, so you don't get pushed out of the situation. And then I'm gonna kind of let this thing go. I want to talk about this a little bit more, maybe in another video, but the bottom line is that if you can get yourself positioned better than your competition, all things being equal, you should be the one to come out a victor. You should be able to get in there and get a scholarship. And then we're going to talk about what I want you guys to start doing as you move forward. The last thing I'm going to put on this thing is, while you're doing all of this during your high school years, I want you guys to start building up your own social network, right? I want you to start filming yourself doing everything. I got some cool stuff coming, I think, that's gonna kind of help you guys move forward. I'm just getting into it right now, but I want you guys to start filming yourself, your workouts. I want you to start filming what you're eating, your eating habits, the things you're doing there. I want you to start kind of talking about practice, pre-practice, how you prepare, things like that. I want you to start giving back in the community. Start doing stuff in the community, not for the only reason of making yourself look better on paper or when you're talking to the college coaches or just trying to get into the college in period, but I want you to start doing that just in general, because we're going to create this next group of kids. This group of kids is going to go out. You're going to get these scholarships if that's what you want. And even for the kids that aren't trying to look for scholarships, find some other schools that you're looking to go to. I want you guys to be the leaders for the future. I think if you use your athletic talent and you take it and you package it and you use it to get yourself to the next level, then we're going to use that to get to the next level, and you're going to start helping other people come behind. But in the meantime, you're going to start creating your life the way you want it under your conditions and your rules. Listen, the final thing on this is the NCAA won. Whether they meant to win or not, they are in complete control. You have no idea why they did not pick you for an athletic scholarship. You don't have any idea why that college allowed you in and didn't allow the next person in. The person that has that 4.5 GPA, that's done all these extracurricular activities and all that gets denied for college, they don't have a clue. There's nothing you can go on. There's no SAT, ACT. You can't even argue with the college anymore. So they are in complete control now. That coach is in complete control now. That coach that releases you out of your scholarship for something now, there's nothing you can do. There's a transfer portal. You got another opportunity, and you can play the same year if you get picked off that transfer portal. It feels like you won, but they have complete control now. So what we're going to do now is we're going to position ourselves in the right place, and then we're going to start building up our network. Two things that can make you successful all through life. All right, guys, as always, best of luck to you in all your endeavors, and take advantage of our software. Go ahead and look down below. Subscribe to the channel. I got to do that. We're growing really big now, and I know you guys are starting to trust me. Like I said in some previous videos, our numbers are going through the roof on the code that I give you down below. I've got a bunch of codes out there for different groups and organizations and things like that, but I know this code is killing it. It is killing it. You guys are going in there, even if you're just looking to see what the software is all about. Go ahead and use it. It's all yours. You can use it absolutely no cost. And we're going to put a marketplace on there to start trying to pull some money in, because we're not making any money off the software right now. But that's okay. That's not what we're all about right now. We're trying to build, I guess we call it a tribe, a family, a group. You don't owe us anything, but I want you guys to look out for each other. So I'm going to try to get all of the members, put some events together so you guys can kind of get together, or at least let you guys meet as the athletes. And then the parents, I got some cool stuff for you guys too that I want you guys to start doing, so we can prepare for when these kids get to the next level. I'm working with my son on this project, right? This is a family project for us. So I'm working with my own son, and it's been the best. It's actually been fantastic for me. I want you guys to do the same thing. I want you guys to be able to walk. And now I finally got my daughter, who started all of this stuff because I was trying to get her an athletic scholarship. And even my wife now is paying attention because we see the numbers coming up. And so I'm gonna incorporate everybody in there. Anyway, I want you guys to be doing the same thing. I want you to get in position. I know you guys have to go to work. I know you got to make sure your kids are taken care of, your families are taken care of. That's part of the game you have to play. But we want to get past that. So I'm going to try to see if I can find some ways to get you guys motivated and find some things for you guys to try to get into, so that you're starting to set up for when your kids come out of college and then they've got all this college knowledge and they're ready to move on something. I don't think you're going to be successful moving forward just going into work every day. I just don't think that's going to be it. I don't think it's going to be enough. And I want all the families to start to create this family legacy of, oh, we did this, my kids came behind me and did this, my grandkids can either do this, but I want them to have options. They don't have to follow exactly what you were doing, but you've given them a step up, and your network is going to become more important at that point than what you actually did. Anyway, I'm getting too far down the rabbit hole here. Best of luck to you guys. Like I said earlier, use the software, codes down below, instructions down below, and then we're going to keep moving forward. Talk to you guys later. Bye.